coffee and listening. And all the street noises are just included in whatever we create. So don't let them distract you, let it become part of the art. And I just want to say that I'm going to read 2 poems. And if y'all will just kind of let it all segue together, that would be great. And you can give enthusiastic applause for Leo's guitar playing, because he's amazing. Amen. Listen. So, thank you. So anyway, I used to own Sylvia's Art of the Century. Yay! It was a fabulous place in Emma Park next to the train station. And in addition to all the wonderful people that would come in and buy art supplies and make music and create poetry, I met an abundance of people on the street, happenstance. One of them stopped me as I was locking up the door of Art of the Century, and the air hung kind of cool. He had unintentional dreads and a plaid jacket, and he was dragging a suitcase up over the sidewalk curb. And as I locked the door, I heard, "Hey, lady!" And I looked over and I said, "What?"
"Hey, lady! You know when you drive that car, you don't even wave. I wave and wave at you, you just drive on by. You don't even look at me."
And I said, "Well, I will wave at you now that I know you're here."
"No, ma'am,"
he said.
You can't wave at me, because I'm going to Cincinnati in the morning."
And then he pulled his suitcase up over the curb and muttered to himself,
"I wave and you just drive on by."
The day I saw Amy Ray smelled fresh as Atlanta ever could, like Glade air freshener, misted into the night sky after the rain. You know, I've always been lucky at losing money, misplacing checks, rummaging in the trash, looking frantically for yet another treasure to be thrown my way. And so it was on that mid-autumn afternoon in the parking lot of the pizza joint, whose driveway backed up to my gallery and studios. A frightening disconnect. Hoods and guns pointed at pizza lovers. Rap songs running tunelessly, ceaselessly from my brain. Cash grasped, clasped in a young woman's fist. She-book running, her tattoo of Peter Rabbit perspiring foolishly on an Anglo's upper arm. Then it was over. I looked around dazed, dropped $300 somewhere else, gathered the remaining monies and tossed it like salad into a manila folder. Cranked my green Sable with a tire on top, shuttered, parked it behind the credit union, banked next to the garbage bins and an old shade tree. I passed Amy Ray, lounging along the deacon's bench, next to the beige walls of the bank. My purse yawned wide open, and I said, "Oh, hey." She nodded as I pulled out the slender wad and deposited it with one of my favorite pregnant tellers. Sighing with relief, I skipped lightly round the corner, past the outstretched hands of Sarge and other miscellaneous miscreants, that particular breed who belonged to that patch on Euclid Avenue. As I neared the car door, I stopped short and spied a glint of silver metal. Dangling whimsically from the Sable's ignition, merde, excuse my French, I turned tail, and with a familiar realization that my car keys were not in my purse. Sniffing the balmy city air, I made my way to cross Moreland Avenue towards the 6th Precinct. and a sudden revelation simply occurred like daybreak over the Atlantic. I realized that I was not unhappy. There resided within my community of artists, politicians, and musicians a sense of adventure, even when running mundane errands, dropping deposits at the bank. The door to the 6th precinct was double-paned, bulletproof glass, glazed with old fingerprints, spit, and gum. With a glum resignation, I shoved open the heavy door with my shoulder, greeted at the desk by a staff sergeant. Another officer diligently shook the retro metal filing cabinet to his rear, and that lock was jammed too. Smiling grimly, I requested assistance to break into my car. The sergeant shook his head regretfully. Apparently, some of our good and decent neighbors had sued the precinct for their help breaking into their cars in the past due to a neglectful scratch or two. They were unable to help me. But he handed me a Slim Jim, not the greasy meat snack that had quick trips everywhere along the highway, but it was a slim metal tool made for fitting between the lock and the car's door in order to release the automobile's chastity. Get one of the guys outside to help you. The sergeant nodded towards the square that was peopled with people everywhere, and I nodded back. Thanks. I'll ask a criminal. So I did. A young man with caramel skin and leather jacket approached as I left the precinct, held out a CD in the thin white paper cover. No thanks. I just lost my keys in my car and lost $300. His eyes swiveled towards my hazel ones. Do you need help? Always taught to be polite, I smiled my southern girl assent. Yes, please. He whistled. 3 other young men trotted up. Just like that. Just like clerks in a Publix grocery store with an emphatic yellow button reading, "Hi, I'm Fred. Ask me, I'm here to help." One young man wearing jeans to his knees and a bright red knitted cap turned soulful brown eyes to mine. 5 tattooed tears adorned his right chiseled cheek. "Do you think you can break into my car?" I asked. "Yes, ma'am, I can," he replied. And you know, I had to believe him. "What's your name?" "Well, they call me KZ, short for crazy with a K, but you can call me Z." "Ah, nice to meet you. I'm Sylvia." "What do you do, Sylvia?" "Hey, I'm an art teacher." "Oh, really? My mom's a teacher in L.A. She got me hooked on phonics when I was 3, but then..." His perfect eyebrows raised and dropped. I got hooked on something else. We stopped the conversation a moment, looked both ways before crossing Moreland Avenue towards the parking lot and my earnestly waiting locked car. Stepping up onto the sidewalk, I asked, "So, you're from L.A.? Yeah, you been there?" "Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got in with the wrong crowd, know what I mean?" I eyeballed those 5 tears and the crimson apparel. "Oh yeah, we've all been guilty of that once or twice. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil." He slyly looked me in the eye. "Have you ever heard of gangs?" I nodded quickly. "Yes, I read that there's been problems with gangs in Atlanta." "Huh!" He grunted a little too knowingly. "They just think they're gangs in Atlanta." "Well," my lipstick grin spread quickly, "I'm glad you're here and not in L.A. cause here's my car." A wry smile flickered over those clear tattooed features as he took in my battered old art car. Then he went to work. He took the Slim Jim and began to use it like a coat hanger, bending it painfully and slowly attempting to jam it through the rubber-sealed window, unsuccessfully. Shit. He threw it down and I gasped as he pulled out and unclasped a gleaming silver switchblade, muttering under his breath, "Wish I had a coat hanger." I left my pocketbook sitting on the hood of my car. Oh well. He jammed it through the seal, tearing the edges ragged. "You know, I'll go get a coat hanger." I helpfully trotted away to the clothing warehouse. across the street, where the clerks were also happy to help. They handed me a wire coat hanger. As I made my way back across the street, a sudden thought exploded in my brain. Where was my purse? Sitting on top of the car. Oh well, I braced myself, needlessly, for there was Z, thankfully ripping the seal from the car door. And he gave a joyous greeting upon my return, coat hanger dangling like our conversation in his long fingers, bending the metal masterfully. I glanced over, and there my faithful purse remained. I refrained from suggesting the proper use of a Slim Jim. This man was inventive, intent, and focused. For my purposes, honest. Together, we watched as the metal almost made a connection with the electric lock. Once, twice, 3 times. He was perspiring with excitement now, and I do glowed blissfully. We gritted our teeth together. He picked the switchblade back up, made an insertion, tossed it to the ground, fronted, fashioned, and unhooked the electric lock doors, tooled with combination wire hanger and Slim Jim. Unbelievingly snapped the lock open. We both laughed exultantly in a joyous embrace. And then, distancing myself carefully, I rummaged through the misbegotten purse for a crisp new $10 bill. Oh, no, ma'am. Well, I'm buying your CD. We both beamed. Thank you. No, thank you. We walked back across the busy street together. A taxicab's horn tooted in the frantic traffic. I returned the bent Slim Jim to the precinct. The file cabinet appeared to remain unopened. Z rejoined his comrades, and he held his hand up, answering a cell phone's ring. I crisscrossed the street gingerly, sidestepping a sleeping body on the sidewalk. As I rounded the corner to the parking lot where my tire-strapped Sable was parked, waiting, I noticed a glint of metallic silver on the littered ground. Below the door to my car, it was Z's switchblade. I picked it up, ran my finger lightly along the clasp. Resolutely, I turned around, headed back into the traffic, crossed the street. Z was still busy punctuating his conversation. An upbeat laugh. I walked right up, placed the lethal blade into his tampon. Here's your pocket knife. I smiled, and he dropped the phone and embraced me.